I'm Michael Peters, sports editor of the Tulsa World, sitting alongside Kelly Hines, our Tulsa football beat writer, and we're going to talk a little Tulsa football. And it's kind of a down week a little bit because I had maybe higher expectations, I guess, than maybe some people did, and the rain sort of dampened things at Chapman Stadium on Saturday. Oklahoma dampened things after about 3 plays and kind of put them out of their misery. Now that you've had a chance to be over there for a little bit this week, what is the mood going into Florida Atlantic coming next week?
It's a little bit somber. They're still trying to get over, what happened on Saturday. I thought it'd be a little bit different game than that, but I think, with OU coming out and scoring 56 seconds in, that kind of set the mood for the whole game, and TU never really recovered. Didn't really, other than the first drive in the second half, didn't do a lot. Dane Evans had some bad turnovers. I think he took a bit of a step back in his progression. So, I think going into this game, this is a huge game for them. If you drop this one, that's not a good place to be. In Florida Atlantic, they're 0-2, which is a little deceiving given,
They played Nebraska and Alabama to start with. I guess they got rained out sort of in the second half and lost 41-0 to Alabama last week. And so they've had 2 tough games to start with, although they've had some troubles. That's the program that Howard Schnellenberger got started and then gave it off to Carl Pelini, who had his troubles last year, and so they're kind of trying to start anew. But yeah, I agree with that because we had I guess we exchanged this maybe in emails this week. This is it's a big kind of a 4-game stretch that you have 4 winnable games, but 3 of them are on the road, and so now you've got to put Oklahoma by you and kind of move forward with this.
Yeah, I think playing on the road, that requires a different level of maturity that I don't know whether this team has it yet. And Kevin Lucas said today, when you play on the road, you're already down 7 points, which I don't know if that's true, but I think that's a good way to look at it. You got to go into that with a different mindset. They have a lot of younger players who are going to play in this game who haven't played on the road before. So it's a little bit different situation than their first 2 games, and I think it's a must win.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I think we talked about, we knew there was going to be talent disparity on the field on Saturday. When you throw that out, what are some of the things that concerns you? Where were you hoping to see more progress than you saw from that team on Saturday?
I would start with the defense. Really, I don't think the defense has played as well as it really can. Based on what I've seen in practice, this is a different defense than is out there. The competition obviously dictates that a lot, but giving up the long runs that TU has allowed, that's kind of stunning to me, given that their secondary is really supposed to be the strength of this team and has not shown it. Part of that is DeMarco Nelson was rusty in the first game. Then he missed almost the entire second game, and he's kind of the anchor of that secondary. So if he's back on Saturday, he's day-to-day with concussion right now. So if he's back and is able to be the DeMarco Nelson they saw, as a freshman, as a sophomore, that's what they really need.
Now, last year they weren't very good at all, but in Bill Blankenship's first 2 years, this team has had a pretty good history of playing Power 5 conference teams or ranked opponents, and then struggling against maybe the higher level of competition, but really bouncing back strong after that. I think he's 4-2. One of those losses was to Boise that followed, and they were ranked in the top 10. That followed right after losing to Oklahoma State in the midnight game. Well, what does this team have to do to kind of follow that trend? What is it that you have to do to strip away what happens at Oklahoma and strip away the bad thoughts that come with being out of it kind of 3 plays into it and then move forward to a winnable Florida Atlantic game?
I think they got to get back to what they can do. If you go back to the Tulane game, Dane Evans played pretty well in that, and they really stayed within themselves and just picked up 10 yards here and there, and it worked out well for them. Throw to Kevin Lucas. They have yet to establish really a ground game at all. I think that's something that they need to start doing, because there are going to be teams that are going to be defending their passes a lot more. I just think that they need to get back to some fundamentals.
Well, at least you get some fun in the sun in Florida this week, and so that's all we have time for this week. We'll join you again next week for more Tulsa football.